What I'd like to say is, as I said to a lot of people who've asked me today and through the years, this project is probably the best example of the truest form of what you say partnership. Public, private, electeds, local, county, state, and federal government. So I would like to add at this point, if you'd all just take maybe 10 seconds, let's recognize Congressman Bob Matsui. Thank you with that. You know, we talk about partnerships, we talk about commitments, and I'm going to say a few words here, and I know I'm going to have a lot of people to introduce, so I'll keep my remarks very short. The first person I want to talk about that used to represent us in Congress, and that's Congressman John Doolittle. You know, John always had an open ear and an open mind, and that's extremely important. We didn't always agree on everything, but he always left his door open for me to discuss issues, and I'm sure he did the same with the rest of our team on the City Council, as well as our managing staff. Mr. Matsui had an open mind and an open ear, and he allowed me the same courtesy as I know he did the rest of our staff. What was remarkable is when the two gentlemen said, what do we need to do for the common goal for this region? Because they both had strong beliefs, though be on opposite sides of particular issues, they had one common belief. Something permanent needed to be done for this region.
I wish we would take out a moment of silence to recognize the 4 fallen officers in Oakland and the other members of law enforcement who throughout this state and this nation protect us every day. The memorial was held yesterday in Oakland with over 20,000 people in attendance, but I wish we would have a moment of silence in remembering these brave officers. There are a lot of people to receive accolades for this bridge. One person who's going to speak I want to just single out, and that's Assistant Secretary of the Army, John Paul Woodley, Jr.
Honor and pleasure to now introduce Congresswoman Doris Matsui.
It's great to see all of you here. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning, and as Dan Lang would say, it's a beautiful California day. And I'd like to also thank all my colleagues at the federal, state, and local level for joining us all here today.
So with that, it's my honor and pleasure to introduce Congressman Tom McClintock from the 4th Congressional District. Mr. McClintock.
Well, what a day. You know, in a time when so much of our transportation money is squandered on multi-billion-dollar Bay Bridge retrofits and outrageous bridges to nowhere, we now have something to celebrate, a frugal bridge to somewhere.
And from the depth of my soul, I am proud at this moment to introduce a very close friend, a very dedicated individual to the entire region, let alone this country, this former Congressman John Doolittle. John.
Well, Steve, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, Julie and I feel very honored that you've invited us for this grand occasion. These kinds of things don't happen very often. And we're pleased to see the large crowd out here that's as excited as we are about it. Mayor Miklos and my former members in Congress and distinguished members of the Folsom City Council, and ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank our mayor, Steve Miklos, who is a good friend. And I feel that way about each of the Folsom City Council persons. And would just like, I know they've been acknowledged, but I'm going to mention their names again because they were all, at one point or another, I think, except for the newest one, Ernie, they were all mayors when we worked together. And Steve Miklos and Jeff Starsky, Andy Moran, and Carrie Howell, and our newest one, Ernie Sheldon, and 2 that should be up here, in my opinion, Eric King and Bob Holderness. Thank you.
It's my great honor to introduce the next speaker, and that's Congressman Doug Ossie.
Good morning, fellow citizens. John, you didn't get the memo about no time.
I wish I'd seen it.
when you're out of office, you never really quite appreciate how nice it is to not have to work. Well, again, good morning, everybody. Glad to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to come and visit with you again and see so many friends and neighbors.
As our speaker today, our next speaker, and that's the Honorable Assistant Secretary of the Army and Civil Works, Mr. John Paul Woodley Jr. from the Army Corps of Engineers, the man that kept the glue together, that kept the project moving, to which we're opening today. Mr. Woodley, please.
You're very kind, and there have been some very kind remarks made about me today.
It's my pleasure now to introduce former Mayor and current Vice Mayor, Mr. Jeff Starsky. Jeff?
Well, good morning, everyone. This is a beautiful day. Who agrees with that? For multiple reasons, not just the weather, but because of this thing back here. But for those of you from out of town, this is how the weather is in Folsom every day. So keep coming here and spend your shopping dollars. Oh, sorry, the commercials. So ladies and gentlemen, there are a whole bunch of people to thank. Our congressional delegation, definitely, and there's many of them we won't be able to recognize. But I did want to say a couple of things again about Mr. Doolittle and Mr. Matsui. It is important that we all understand how critical this is. You've heard some of what Mr. Ossie talked about, is how hard it is to get anything done in Washington, D.C. We've been back on numerous occasions to watch that, and it's painful at times to watch it. But Mr. Doolittle was an absolute champion of the city of Folsom. Now, he represented us for only a short period of this time that we were in the process of trying to get the funding for this bridge. When the districts when they were changed, and Mr. Doolittle now represented then Placer County and did not represent Folsom, we were very, very concerned. But he continued to champion us as if we were in his district. And I think that's something the city of Folsom and the residents of Folsom really need to recognize what he did for us. This man would pressure anyone he had to pressure to get us this bridge, including the President of the United States. I watched it happen, and it is an astonishing accomplishment. And along with Mr. Matsui, I just want us to just take a second and let's just really recognize, because we would not be standing here but for this man right here. So ladies and gentlemen, one more time, and please, let's stand for this man.